Hi, Chris. How are you?
Hi Rachel, how you doing? I'm doing really well. How are you feeling?
I'm doing great. To start, I wanted to ask you about switching of genres in horror movies because you're obviously, or not genres, but I guess techniques is the right term because you're using two very distinct styles in a movie like Shelby Oaks. How is it to get to, play in found footage for a little bit, but then get to pivot and get to play with both of those at the same time when making a film?
I think the initial conversation that my wife and I had when we first kind of came up with this idea together, was can we make something that we can just finance with our savings and put it on YouTube and just call it a day?
Mm.
Because we were really tired of waiting to make stuff and we were just really desperate to like get out there and make stuff. And was feeling kind of depressed, not making movies and not being so much involved in it. I used to do a lot more short films and sketches and stuff, and I just wanted to be making things with people that I loved. And that first initial idea was like, we'll just make a found footage movie, and just we're like, fine, let's do it. Let's just go. Um, and as we kind of got into the idea of writing it, it just kind of became something else and got bigger. And this idea of starting in a mockumentary and found footage space and then switching into a traditional narrative kind of came about of just looking at the way we take in stories in the world. We live in a mixed media world. We experience all of our stories from all different types of things, whether it's social media, the news, TikTok, YouTube, television, books, audiobooks. There's no like straight tunnel vision where we get everything. And I love the idea of approaching a horror movie from the lens of true crime, from mockumentary, from found footage, from traditional narrative, and finding a way to kind of make the story feel cohesive while also utilizing all of these formats.
When I wanted to bring up mockumentary, so I'll just do it now because it's one of my favorite genres. Like my favorite show is a mockumentary. I love the idea of just like how much you can do with a mockumentary because you're getting an insight into a character's mind based on what they're willing to tell you. What for you was the biggest challenge of getting to, allow characters to grow in that space? Because a mockumentary can either be almost too much or you can like go too little with it.
You're right. I mean, and my two biggest touchstones were Lake Mungo and Noroi,
Mm.
both mockumentary movies I've always loved. And I think the hardest thing is when to accept that the pencils are down and you have to stop editing it, because with like a real documentary, you have endless amounts of B-roll that you can sift through, whether it's family photos or security camera footage or text messages, voicemails. For a true crime doc, you can kind of keep editing for a long time. But with a mockumentary, it feels even more expansive because you could just be like, well, I want to get another search party photo. And that actually happened in post where I was like, I really wish we had one more search party photo. And I got all my friends together and I got some green reflective vests off the internet and we went in our friend's backyard and took search party photos. Because like it did feel like this endless thing where you could just kind of keep going. Because you can get the actors in there and you have scripted moments that have to happen. And I'm so lucky to be working with such great actors like Camille Sullivan who can embody these moments. But then when it comes to the B-roll part, you can kind of keep going forever. And there does have to be a part where you're like, I've got enough. We've got enough footage. We need to move on.
Yeah, it's always funny to me because it's like I literally on Twitter today they were like, explain your show without favorite show without naming it, and I just wrote an improv line from Parks and Recreation that like everyone knows was an improv line, and so it is so funny to hear that even in like a space like this that it is the same approach to the
Yeah.
style of a mockumentary. Which you mentioned true crime. This movie does get a lot of the influences from those true crime documentaries that everyone kind of obsessively watches. How fun is it for you to put out a movie that is touching on those touchstones when we also have pivoted into weirdly like doing these true crime fictionalized television shows now? Like I feel like every week we have a new one. Is it fun to promote a movie like Shelby Oaks when it is like a mixed media itself and how we're consuming true crime stories?
Yeah, it's like that line from Naked Gun this year, Pamela Anderson. She says something like, "I write true crime stories based off of fictional experiences," or something like that. And it's kind of like, we're in on the joke. we know that these types of things are fiction, but there is a term that the internet kind of popularized called unfiction, where it's not real, but part of the fun is pretending like it is
Hmm.
and getting involved in the characters and the story and the ARG aspect of it, the alternate reality game
Yeah.
aspect of our marketing campaign as well, is just trying to find a way to sort of activate that side of the internet that does have that level of obsession. And I fully understand it because I have it too. I've been on terrible rabbit holes of true crime docs where, like, there was one I was watching when my kids were first born, and it was sending me through a loop of just depression because it was like about something horrible that happened to kids. And
Hmm.
I had to finish it because I needed to know that the kids got justice. But the whole time I'm watching it, I was like, I'm never letting my kids leave the house. They will stay home forever. And so, yes, it's fun to kind of get into this space where you can look at our admittedly perverse obsession with, true crime, but have it feel a little bit more like a roller coaster where like you're gonna go have some fun and you'll be safe at the end because it's not real.
When I wanted to ask, because obviously you mentioned YouTube and like your work that you've done there and creating this and figuring out where it kind of fit within both your work and like your creative mind. How was it both, working with your wife and figuring out what you wanted to do with this and collaborating together, while also both seeing the excitement that your fan base already had to see you kind of make a movie and figuring out where all of that balanced together?
It's nerve-wracking, to be honest, Rachel, because I was very scared to do a Kickstarter campaign. We hit a point in our pre-production where we realized that we just didn't have enough money to make the movie we wanted to make, and it just wasn't going to happen unless we sought for extra funds. And we tried some of the more traditional routes, but came to a realization that it just wasn't going to happen unless we tried this. And I had never really asked my subscribers for anything, and it's inherently not the person I am. I'm not like, please help me make it. I'm not good at that. It makes me uncomfortable. And so, but I did it, and I'm really glad I did because the backers showed up in such a wonderful way. But we were also able to craft a crowdfunding campaign that let them into the making of the movie. Like the backers got to see, we had a documentarian follow me for the entire production, who filmed me and edited behind the scenes videos for the backers. Then they got to see that every single week. And a lot of backers in person have told me like that it felt kind of like a little mini film school where they were able to really see what it feels like to make a genuine indie film from the ground up without any support from the studio system. And so doing YouTube at the same time while crafting a movie, it's I did it. I don't know. I got through it. I'm still making I'm doing my Halloween special right now. I've got like 5 or 6 videos that have already come up in October for all kinds of horror movies. Casper, I just did Casper. Because I love it. I can't stop. But yeah, that's kind of what I want to do in the future. Is just I hope to continue to be able to make stuff, but also celebrate movies I love on YouTube and hopefully point people towards really great indie movies that maybe need some support.
Yeah, and you've been doing, it's been very fun to see how much you've kind of brought this movie around. Like I was at Fantastic Fest, but it was like there the day I wasn't there, and so I missed it. But
Um,
how has it been, sharing a film like this, especially with audiences like a Fantastic Fest audience, which is there because they love the genre and they want to see what new creatives kind of bring to horror as a whole?
it's been a relief because I've been, sitting on this for so long and sharing it with we've done Fantastic Fest, Fantasia, Beyond Fest, Fright Fest, Popcorn Frights. We're doing Telluride Horror, Brooklyn Horror. We just did Stitches in Spain. It's the first time I've ever been out of North America, which
Wow.
was the first transatlantic flight I've ever been on. It was crazy. Uh, and to hear these people who love this kind of stuff like gasp and react and clap and get involved, it's great because for me, I've seen this movie alone in an editing suite like 500 or 600 times.
Hmm.
And so the only way to experience it new is with a crowd and getting those people like making gasps and reactions. And so it's been really lovely.
Have you had a favorite reaction? Because I always like to ask, because it is like unfortunately a very solitary thing for the most part when you're finishing a movie and pushing it out, because it is you watching it by yourself. Have you had a reaction that you were just like, well, that's weird. I didn't expect that one to get people, but it ended up doing it?
Yes, people love Norma, the old woman in the film, and I wanted them to, but I did not expect people to love Norma as much as they do. I've had people walk up to me and say like Norma quotes and be like, "I'm gonna get like I'm gonna draw Norma for you in like a picture and show you like my artistic rendering of her." And yeah, no, Robin Bartlett, who plays Norma in the movie, was amazing to work with.
Mhm.
But people really love her, and I was expecting, people to hopefully enjoy her and think she was a cool character or whatever. But like, people really react strongly to everything she says and does.
I hope next New York Comic Con. I saw so many Aunt Gladys's. I'm like, I hope next year it's Norma's. We see
That'd
the
be great.
Norma's all over the place. Well, for a last thing I want to ask, because obviously you have been promoting this for a really long time. You're showing a bunch of audiences when with a wider release where people get to go and choose and they're doing it on their own to go see Shelby Oaks. What for you is the most exciting part about kind of releasing a film like that into the wild and letting people kind of make the decisions and choose for themselves how they feel?
Rachel, my whole life I've been going to the movies.
Mm.
The movie theater is my church, and movies are my religion. Uh, and just the walking through my neighborhood theater and seeing the poster for a movie that I made on the wall, like I cry. I
Mm.
I can't contain it. It's so emotional for me. And I'm just very, very excited that this little indie movie we made in Ohio for like nothing is getting a wide theatrical release because our crew worked so hard to make a small movie look like a big movie. And, I think we pulled that off, and I'm just so happy that people can go see it on the big screen. And I'm gratefully in a place where I don't have to worry that much about like box office returns because we shot the movie for nothing. If we had made this movie for like $30 million, I'd be scared. But we made this movie for what most people in Hollywood would consider like pocket change.
Mm.
Um, and so I think we'll be okay. And so I can kind of sit back and just be like, oh my God, like all of this hard work, all of the people who made this movie with me, all the backers can hopefully celebrate this and just if I had one ultimate goal, it would be that people who were like me when I was a teenager who went to movies looking for inspiration can see Shelby Oaks and be like, okay, maybe I can make a movie.
Mm.
Maybe I should go crack open that PDF of that script or whatever and finish it. Um, and just hopefully continue this train of inspiring, hopeful filmmakers to make their thing.
Oh, I love that. Especially as someone who what my free time is writing and watching movies and television when that is also my job. I love it a lot. So thank you so much for talking with me. And I can't wait for everyone to go and see Shelby Oaks.
Thank you, Rachel. It was so nice to
Thank
meet you.
you. It's so nice meeting you. Have a great one.
You too.
Bye.